First of all, gracing our event is Dr. Wasima Shehzad, Dean Faculty of Social Sciences, Air University, Islamabad. Our second judge on the panel is Dr. Adam Soud, Dean Humanities and Social Sciences, Bahria University, Islamabad. Last but not least, joining us today is Dr. Tariq Habib Chima, Executive Director, Alight, Pakistan. Please give a huge round of applause for the judges. Thank you, sirs and madam, for joining us. Before beginning the session, I would like to repeat the SOPs of the event that are to be followed by all the teams. 12 teams will participate in the English debate session of the national round. Parliamentary style of debate is to be followed at all times. 2 teams will be prepared on a given topic, one government and the other opposition. Each team will have 3 students. The first bell will be rung 1 minute before the completion of time. The second bell will be rung at the completed allotted time, and bell will be rung repeatedly afterwards. This shall be the structure for the prepared round, after which we will move to the impromptu round. Please note that the judges can disqualify any speaker if found using examples from film industry, television programs, unparliamentary language, derogatory sectarian remarks, reading paper notes, cards, or using any other inappropriate language. I request the audience to please maintain the decorum of the hall as we proceed towards the formal event. To commence the English debate session, the first resolution for English debate is Youth Bulge in Pakistan, Major Dividend or Potential Crisis. For government, I would like to invite Team King Edward Medical University, Lahore on stage. On the opposition, I invite National Defense University, Islamabad. Please take your respective seats on stage. Debaters, the stage is set and the audience awaits. Please come forward to the podium.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are the land, and the land is yours. But Ravi is crying as the crop stands wilted, as our youth stand wilted. So talk to me not about our youth being a potential crisis. Talk to me about the lack of resources and opportunities that we as a nation provide. The 21st century, an era of economic aggrandizement. And in this era of economic growth spurt, is not our youth demographic the chunkiest sword in our armor? Haris Khan, the youngest smartphone app developer, Microsoft certified Arfa Kareem, Shamiana Pathan, co-founder of Auratraj, Sumail Hassan Sayed, he won his economy $1.2 million. Ladies and gentlemen, the youth is our herd, and we the shepherds, and we have led them astray. We've led them astray, ladies and gentlemen. But there is still hope. Because our youth, they're not a lost cause. Just like the India of the 70s, when we liberated ourselves from the British Raj, we brought forward for our youth bulge the National Education Program, SSA. We brought forward the United Skills India initiated. We brought forward the United Nations Skill Development Mission. We provided 200 million skilled labor. We restructured the history that is ours. We liberated ourselves from the Britain. We did it again. We can do it again. We've done it before. But ladies and gentlemen, call not the solution to this problem the problem itself. For our youth is going to lead us to greener pastures. Our youth is going to redirection the course of our Ravi. I thank you all.
Permissions of the judges. Youth bulge in Pakistan, a major dividend. Just how delusional. Let me disillusion this house from the utopian discourse of the previous speaker. Quoting a renowned economist, the idea of youth bulge being a major dividend for a country is crucially dependent on 4 variables. The youth being literate, educated, trained, and employed. In case of Pakistan, that is not happening, which leads this youth bulge to be a demographic nightmare instead of a dividend, unquote. According to the UNDP's report of Pakistan, only 6% out of the 64% youth bulge in Pakistan is actively pursuing employment. On top of that, our education system is crumbled. Ladies and gentlemen, to my opponent's utter dismay, a larger population of youth is not a testament to a quality population. Countries like Singapore and Japan have less than 25% of youth, yet they are far ahead from Pakistan in the Human Development Index. My worthy audience, don't you see our youth falling a prey to these terrorist organizations? Don't you see hopelessness? Don't you see mental health issues and drug abuse plaguing our society? On top of that, saturation in the public-private sectors, social injustices, high inflation and taxation. These conditions breed rebellion, and I repeat, rebellion, not dividend, my lord, not dividend. With that, I rest my case. I thank you all.
Our opposition comes here and totally undermines the role that the youth played in the progress of even countries like Singapore and Japan. If the people of China, India and America can be educated, can be made literate, can be given all those opportunities and those countries can progress, why the youth of Pakistan cannot? Abundance is strength calls out China with a social capital of around $18 trillion. Abundance is strength calls out India, the fastest growing economy on the globe. Abundance is strength calls out the United States of America, the most powerful nation on the world. Mr. President, it is not the youth that is a crisis. It is the state structure that is brimming with corruption, misuse, and disproportionate use of the resources. What is the youth doing in Pakistan? Youth is being the skilled, educated labor that is reconstructing this whole society. It is the youth that is opposing the dynastic political parties and their ideologies. It is the youth that is advocating environmentally sustainable policies. It is the youth that is fed up of stagnancy and is calling for a digital revolution, shattering all the norms, challenging the stereotypes, and doing the undone. Mr. President, every human being and every member of a society is valuable. A human has an inherent value in himself, and therefore undermining the role of youth, that is 64% of our population, in the progress of our country is simply not the case that should be there. So therefore, we proudly propose this motion. Thank you.
Mic check. Mr. Speaker, being delusional at an individual level is one thing. But when the youth wears rose-colored glasses about its collective future, that is when the situation becomes alarming. As the second opposition speaker, let me pop the government's bubbles of wishful thinking one by one. Number one, it is an irony that they remain oblivious of the fact that the countries that make effective youth development policies have a dedicated budget for innovation. Can we compare the tech giant South Korea at 4.93% with Pakistan at just 0.16%? We cannot. Number two, they're talking about the societal change. Well, change requires energy. And the recent socio-political environment has drained all of that patriotic energy out of our youth. How can this situation of dismay ever drive our youth to bring about any kind of change? Number three, they're talking about the skilled labor, which does not come without skill development, and there are 500,000 places available for formal training in technical institutions when there are 3.5 million young people entering the workforce each year. Is this gap so small to be ignored this easily? This argument was a joke. A small proportion of high achievers in this giant youth bulge is like a drop in the ocean. And would these brain-drained individuals prefer a fancy scholarship to an Ivy League, a handsome job abroad, or to stay in a country where their futures are at stake? They will leave, and they will leave behind them a pool of unskilled youth which, being hit by a wave of westernization, have fallen into an identity crisis, because of which they're uncertain about their future, and this uncertainty is further reinforced by the political dismay, economic barriers, limited opportunities, and this confusion eventually leads to the current situation. Thank you.
Men at some time are masters of their fate. The fault, dear Brutus, lies not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings. In the bleak midwinter of life, man can only hope that spring will arrive. What it does is plant seeds with the belief that they will bloom into fragrant flowers. Those fragrant flowers are our youth. And nations follow cycles in which a population swell occurs in the youth demographic. This stratification of age begs us a simple question. Do you hope or do you despair? That is the debate today. And they despair. But did China despair when a youth bulge existed in 1950s and 60s? Did India despair when it experienced a youth bulge in the 90s and 80s? No, because countries have a vision to see themselves on top, and they realize that vision through policies. My speakers talked about educational reform. They talked about digital initiatives. Those are steps towards a future in which Pakistan will be at the top of the world. Do you not see initiatives like the Prime Minister's Youth Loan Scheme, the Prime Minister's Startup Incubation Drive, the Prime Minister's Kamyab Jawan Program, the Green Youth Club movement? All of these are steps towards a future in which the youth will play a major part in developing this country. Because what we need is reconstruction of this entire state. So tell me then, if the youth is not our major dividend, then what is? Because they say Pakistan is undergoing a crisis. How are we going to get out of this crisis if we're not going to invest in our future? That is the youth. So tell me, when will this darkness end? If not by the youth, then who else will steer our ship? I'll tell you, we are the youth of Pakistan. We have done it before. We have experienced hardship and turmoil, but we have risen above them every time. And that is why I quote Shakespeare. Our doubts are traitors which prevent us from what we can often get by attempting. They do not want us to attempt. We are saying that we want to attempt because the fact that the youth can debate about it being a crisis or a dividend is an argument that it is conscious and aware. We are the youth of Pakistan. We are not only the future, we are the present. We are Pakistan.
Thank you for the recognition, Chair. I would request the House to imagine a Pakistan where youth is skilled, educated, and employed. To imagine a Pakistan where young people are at the cornerstones of innovations and mind-boggling inventions. I request to imagine a Pakistan where young people take the reins and lead the country out of the deep, dark swamp of despair and inequalities. Well, if you really can imagine such things, open your eyes and maybe observe a minute of silence to commemorate your self-deception. I would like to applaud the government for how it has used examples from the past when, the resolution is in present tense. And while they had to prove the youth as a major dividend, what they did was to call it a dividend only under conditions. Now, when we're talking about youth, and when I open my eyes from the unrealistic optimism that the previous speakers have presented, I wake up to a weeping Pakistan. Your Honor, my country weeps because of the highest unemployment rates in the region, because of the declining education, because of the immense burden of debts, with the young people crushed into the shrouds of hopelessness, with young people facing mental health issues, drug abuse, and even becoming the victims of criminal and terrorist organizations. But all the government would do is give us false hopes as a solution. Wow. I would like to ask the government, all right, the youth is skilled, then why do we face impediments in our CPEC projects because of a low skill in Pakistan? Low skilled labor is one major problem that we're facing during our CPEC projects. Other than that, how do you suppose we're going to fill in the brain drain that drains our country of additional skills? So the only education youth that we have goes abroad in search of fancy scholarships or fancy jobs. Can the government ever bring definitive answers to these? No. And I'd answer what we should instead do if we're not looking at youth as a major dividend. What we should instead do, my lord, is to bring about the structural and institutional reform that will give the youth the environment, the arena in which they can excel, in which they can do things. But the government, instead of defending the youth, said that they'd exactly do these things. But how? By proposing policies for youth empowerment and innovation? Wow. What are policies for youth empowerment, innovation, all these programs without employment and without ease of doing business? With that, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you for your debate. Next up, our topic is strengthening local governance system, a key for development in Pakistan. For government, I invite Team Mehran University of Engineering and Technology, Jamshoro. And for opposition, I invite Team Fatah University, Federal Region, Kohat. Teams, please take your respective seats on stage. Over to you, government.
As the Prime Minister from my government team, I'd like to draw attention to three significant words within the topic. Local governance, a form of public administration that exists at the lowest tier of administration to serve as a vital link to civic nationalism, a fundamental principle of democracy. Development, a continual improvement and evolution of societies comprising the advancements of economic growth, social welfare, political stability, and environmental sustainability. And Pakistan, a third world country, which is still an underdeveloping nation. So the need for strengthening the local governance in a country like Pakistan mainly revolves around its potential to serve its citizens. It enables the individuals to voice their concerns, fosters the political and financial awareness, clarifies the lines of accountability, and promotes the adherence to laws. The more centralized the power becomes, the more the likelihood of corruption within a country. So through accountable and transparent government at the local level, we can promote the sustainable development and inclusive decision-making processes. Respected panel, from the beginning, the local government in Pakistan have faced numerous challenges, including the inter-party conflicts, intra-party disputes, the struggles between the bureaucracy and the elected representatives, and the lack of constitutional protection for local government. As according to the 18th Constitutional Amendment, the Article 140A mandates the establishment of local government, but with a room for improvement by imposing the restriction on re-election shortly after the local government have been abolished. And alongside the National Finance Commission, the implementation of Provincial Finance Commission would be a better option for equitable funds distribution. In Pakistan, the focus has always been on the economic growth for development, but overlooked the comprehensive development model that not only includes the economic growth, but also the political, financial, and social awareness. I thank you all.
What is our biggest problem, Madam Speaker? What can we attribute our miseries to? The fact that we have let the barrel of the gun dictate for too long what the rule of law should be? Are military dictators bad and political dictators worse? Are these our main crises? Is that the reason for our downfall? One can debate, but sadly no. Madam Speaker, our biggest problem is that we have become a nation of dream sellers, pretending to be what we are not, to say what we do not mean, and to follow an ideology that is just not us. Ladies and gentlemen, why we oppose this resolution? Because we have tried our hands at this dream selling of local governance 3 times before. We did that in the 60s. The dream that was the functional inequality model of a U resulted in the nightmare of 22 families that are still ruling, still centralizing, still a leech on the body mass of this great nation. That's a shame, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, we did that in the 70s, in the Zia regime. Did we not do away with it in a heartbeat when he was gone? Shame, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, we have also crossed the bridge of local governance for development with General Musharraf. Just to do away with it again and replace it with the commissionerate system? Shame, shame, shame. And you might consider it a journey to the distant past, so let us not forget July 2020, when more than 5,000 elected local bodies representatives were sent home in Punjab. Why? Just because they lacked affiliation with the ruling party? Madam Speaker, 100 times over on a dream selling that is local governance for development in a country like Pakistan, where courts has been dictating the whole process of local governance and not the legislature. That's why I say that it is just a dream selling and nothing else. Thank you.
We are gathered here today for one very important reason. The opposition has challenged the reality of this debate. Can you imagine a government that is accessible to every single person? A government that stands for representation of the people. Tell me, how would you feel if you had access to better education, better health, sanitation, electricity, gas? A government that allows the community to elect its own people, because who better can understand the problems of a common man than a common man? Development is not the name of a fancy tall building. Development is not the name of a fancy tall building. It is the name of countries like Japan and Germany and every other country who has put their people and their needs first instead of putting them second. And that is why, if the opposition continues to take examples of the history, Mr. President, we would be here debating on whether the local government system should be a priority, or we would not be here for this debate on whether strengthening the local government system. Mr. President, according to history, the local government system is a government system for the people. You cannot deny that. The history of local government system is because there was a colonial system instead of a democratic one. Mr. President, the opposition has come up on the stage and dared to question and define the worth of a common man. A common man, a laborer, a farmer, a doctor, an engineer, a common man like you, a common man like me. People who define the very basis of Pakistan. People who form the foundation that Pakistan stands on. But they have come up and they have taken the rights of a common man. Because the rights of a common man, the right to democracy, the right to free speech, the right to liberty. Because they think that people don't matter. Giving the authority to one supreme authority matters. That is the evidence that will support our case. I thank you all.
Well, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Self, I will start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mr. Speaker,
Hello.
I believe that
Hello. 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 Hello.
Madam Speaker, I believe that the resolution assumption that strengthening local government is a key to development in Pakistan is misguided. To talk about local governance, strengthening the local governance is not a key for the development, but that is more fluff and less substance. Mr. Speaker, let's analyze the realities of the governance, that how it is going to prove and how it is going to clarify the thoughts of it, that how we are going to be a developed country from the local governance. So I am in order to clarify some of my thoughts for all of the ladies and gentlemen, that linking or having strengthening local governance is not a key for the development. All the time and always it is clarified nepotism, corruption and so many and more things in our society. Mr. Speaker, in order to know that on the local governance, we are very poor from our local governance and we are not having even building the power of the society as well. Mr. Speaker, we have a global democracy index of score 3.25, which is even the worst of 2006. By the rule of law dictator. And along with that, to talk about transparency, the only free and fair election held in the history of our country. Mr. Speaker, we are in order to have the strengthen local governance, but that is not the key for the development to improve or have the great development of the society. It has always created the problems for the society, such as we have gotten corruptions in our society and along with that, nepotism. So this is not the key for the development. And in order to talk about some other things, Mr. Speaker, I am from FARA, ex-FARA, and I was awarded by NFC. So all of the 4 provinces haven't been given a penny yet. Mr. Speaker, this is the development. Thank you so much.
Excuse me, please maintain the decorum of the hall and be silent for the debates. Thank you.
May I start, sir? Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving us a point to address this House today's afternoon. When powers are centralized to an extent, there's a more likelihood of corruption, as very well stands clarity being given by my worthy Prime Minister, Ms. Mahwish Pawar. Honorable Speaker, my worthy opponents have given true crammed right, and the facts have always been baseless. He's kind of mumbling around 2006 and 2006. Well, local governance system is the true strength provided at the grassroots of every society or the constituencies we live in or we deal with. Now, we are not here to bash the opposition. We are here to focus on the developments as the agenda provides a strengthening local governance system. Right? Now moving on. Honourable Speaker, what we think or the government thinks, if we need to strengthen our local governance system, the very primary thing we need to hold is the sheer amendment in Article 140A. We need to adopt detailed chapters of rural and urban local governance system. We need to introduce Election Act, apart from Election Commission Act, that should also be included in sub-articles of Constitution of Islamic Republic of Pakistan. When we know that if you have served your society, you will be given the mandate by that society in your constituency. There is no need of rescheduling or postponing your elections. Moving on, the most crucial aspect to strengthen our local governance system is, Honourable Speaker, the deployment of electables on the basis of merit. We have often seen any political party who comes into ruling, the most devalued or a person who isn't interested to serve them, or I would say a person who doesn't even know how many zeros are there in a million or billion, is going to run the revenue system or financial commission of that particular constituency. Now, there lies a proper training program. What I would suggest this House, before this committee, we should include training of all the contestants, all those people who want to run elections before elections. As we know, they are the mandate, they are the people who will be run our constituencies for the tenure. Our future relies on them. Moving on, Honorable Speaker, last but not the least, the most important point that we think and the government believes is the awareness among people, which we lack in. As a person who doesn't know which of the individual is accountable before him, when challenges are being faced by that individual, he thinks of himself that a CM, a chief minister or a governor is accountable before him, whether a councillor or chairman is accountable before him. Thereafter, we need to address proper training, and I urge the Minister for Education before this House, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Speaker, that proper subject of political awareness should be included in our curriculum, which is the sheer need of our students, not just BS Political Science or MA Political Science, it's the part of Central Superior Services. With that, we rest our case. Thank you so much.
Sorry for interruption. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the panel, I request all the students to be attentive because of two reasons. देखो ये बच्चे आप सब लोग इनफैक्ट यहाँ पे इस नेशनल लेवल पे आए हो, पाकिस्तान में hundreds of universities हैं, hundreds of thousands of students हैं, उसमें से आप लोग यहाँ पे आए हो, तो kindly instead of discussing things with each other, इनकी बात सुने. जिस शुरू में हमने देखा you were enthusiastic, you were supporting the contestants over here. I request all of you to be attentive and you would be, supporting the contestants. One thing. Secondly, अब अगर बातें हुई, मैं भी एक टीचर हूँ, मैं सबको क्विज दूंगा और इधर रिजल्ट बना के आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी भेजूंगा फिर इंशाअल्लाह. ठीक है?
Sir, one thing I may please add, and then as I won't given proper time in the starting due to watch. If I may add one point, it would hardly take 15 seconds. Thank you so much.
My dear colleague, the time doesn't matter when you speak the truth with fact. Madam Speaker, to reflect on whatever has been discussed by my esteemed fellows from both sides, I find it logical to conclude that one may give examples of many countries where local governments has achieved the desired objectives, but due to pre-existing robust governance structure, including a comparative party system, free press, a vibrant civil society, a paralyzed democratic forces, and of course, a centralized form of government. However, Mr. Speaker and Madam Speaker, our situation is far from comparable. There is no second opinion in this. Research shows that countries like Bangladesh, Ghana, Central African Republic, and many others have faced failures in local governance system when these prerequisites were absent. Let us now take pause for a moment and reflect. Where do we stand? Are we not in the similar or even worse situation than these failed states? Let us face reality and admit the fact that a house that represents 240 million Pakistanis here in Islamabad has yet to be strengthened enough to resist the encroachment of the non-democratic forces. And we are talking about empowering a local councillor in Daradam Khel. For God's sake, get out of this illusion. It is just like expecting a fish to climb a tree, Madam Speaker. It is not going to happen at all. Moreover, one may come up with a plethora of ideas, but an idea that needs to be implemented must be politically acceptable, socially desirable, economically feasible, practically doable, administratively manageable, and progressively sustainable. But the idea of local governance does not meet any of these criteria. That is why, as my friend rightly stated, that it is just as to refer to as dream sellers and nothing else. We are becoming the nation of dream selling. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, on all these counts, I reject the notion of strengthening local governance as a key for development in Pakistan. And I'm sorry, but I have to say this, that this idea doesn't hold water and therefore must be rejected. Finally, and most importantly, let's test the awareness of the local governance Anyone in this house name only 5 local bodies representatives from your respective constituencies? Anyone? The silence is my case, Mr. Speaker. I rest and leave it to a fine sense of judgment. Thank you. I thank you all.
Thank you for that debate. Our third resolution for the afternoon is there is a glass ceiling preventing women from reaching top leadership positions in organizations. For government, I invite Team University of Balochistan, and for opposition, I invite National University of Science and Technology, Islamabad to the stage. The government may proceed, please.
A glass ceiling. An imaginary dead end that tells the female that you cannot cross it, come what may. It is an invisible barrier that prevents typically women from rising beyond a certain level in a hierarchy. Standing here, I propose the resolution, Mr. Speaker. There is a glass ceiling preventing women from reaching top leadership positions in organizations. Women are forced by this society to face obstacles and held back from achieving high success in their careers. Imagine you're climbing the ladder and there's a big see-through ceiling above you and you cannot break through. This is what it really feels like for many women trying to step into executive positions in workplaces. Lack of opportunities, poor mentorship and networking, unconscious bias, gender war culture, a male-dominated society, gender stereotyping, career interruption, pay inequality, tokenism, and what not, Mr. Speaker. I am and my team will be addressing these barriers because these require awareness, understanding, and intentional actions to create an inclusive environment and opportunities for women to succeed in leadership roles. We must know women are the maker and the progressor of the society. If women get equal opportunities and support as equal to men, it would lead to a prosperous, grown, economically developed, and a well-deserving society. But, Mr. Speaker, I repeat again, there is a glass ceiling preventing women from reaching top leadership positions in organizations.
Imagine a world where success knows no gender, where the sky is the limit for every individual regardless of their identity, where opportunities are not dictated by societal norms but by one's abilities and aspirations, where each person is empowered to chase his dreams. Now ask yourself, does this world truly exist, or we're just merely living in the shadow of glass ceiling which some people consider a barrier that seems unbreakable to them? Today, I, Tayyiba Naveed, stand before you as the voice for the opposition, challenging the notion of glass ceiling in organizations. While I'm not denying the fact, barriers do exist, but it's important to recognize the progress we have made and the particular movements that stand as a beacon of hope, illuminating the path towards shattering the glass ceilings that once confined women to the margins of power and influence. Gone are the days when marriage succumbed to gender bias, for merit knows no gender. It recognizes talent and dedication irrespective of the chromosomes that define us. And today we celebrate not just the triumphs of individual women, but the triumphs of meritocracy itself. Nowadays, women find not just the foot in the door, but the seat at the table of opportunity. No longer relegated to sidelines, women now stand shoulder to shoulder with their male counterparts, poised to shatter the glass ceilings. Behold the rise of initiatives like lean-in movements to defy the constraints of societal expectations and to claim the seats for women at this table of leadership. And how can we forget to mention the groundbreaking efforts of initiatives like 50-50 by 2020 campaign, which aims to achieve gender parity in leadership roles? Dear audience, the stories of women from past and present prove that glass ceiling is not an impenetrable barrier, but rather an outdated concept that fails to acknowledge the achievements of countless women. In closing, let us challenge the notion. What unseen barriers restrain our sisters' motion? Let us envision a tomorrow unbound by convention where only limits are those of our own invention. I thank you all.
Madam Speaker, as we engage in this crucial debate on the existence of glass ceiling, let's dissect the opposition's arguments. Have they truly experienced the discrimination faced by women firsthand? Even though they might try to say it's not a big deal, evidence and stories show how it really affects women. A study by the Pew Research Center in 2022 found that women are still underrepresented in top leadership positions across various industries despite advancements in gender equality. Ladies and gentlemen, think about this. If men had to deal with the same problem as women do, would we still argue about this glass ceiling, or would we fix it a long time ago? And what does it say to our daughters if we let this glass stay? Are we saying they cannot aim high because they are girls? Or are we encouraging them to break through barriers? Let's also think about the big gaps that are still there. Even though some say the glass ceiling is old news, women are still get less paid. They don't get promoted as much and face unfair biases. Can we really believe these gaps are just accidents? And we cannot forget about how hard it is for women who keep trying to get ahead, but keep hitting invisible barriers. Women, how many talented women have felt discouraged, hopeless, and give up their own career because of these obstacles? Plus, the other side ignores a lot of research that shows how much common gender bias is at work. Study after study proves that women get treated unfairly in hiring, pay, and chances for promotion. Madam Speaker, unfortunately, some people want to deny it. The evidence is clear. The glass ceiling is real. We cannot ignore this unfairness. We need to face it and make sure everyone, no matter their gender, has the chance to succeed and to be respected.
On a voyage of life that stretches into the horizons, on a tormented odyssey embarked after being fallen down from heaven losing paradise. This journey of life has never been smooth sailing for women all the time. It has bumps, upheavals, and obstacles, pushing down those who set sails for greater milestones. But from every downfall and ashes of failure, difference in gender, difference in wage, resurrect a new life. Your Honor, identify me. Identify me that I am Reshma Sojani, the founder and CEO of Girls Who Code. The aim of my non-tech organization is not to teach girls how to code, but to change the way how girls see themselves and how society sees them. Identify me. Identify me that I am Mary Bara, the CEO of General Motors. I am shattering the glass ceiling in an industry historically dominated by men. Identify me. Identify me, for you saw me in the captivating words of first blind CSS officer Saima Salim. screen. In the smiling face of Muniba Mazari Baloch, I see an inspiration which taught us that these are the limitations and illusions of our own mind, and nothing can stop us from achieving our goal. Your Honor, I knew I could not be silenced. My throat ached from the friction of screams, but I continued to shout, for I knew one day I would be heard. So I remained stand in the glory of my ladies, who proved to the world glass ceiling is just an illusion. And for those who forgot the glories of these ladies, remember them. And for those who forgot the lessons of inspiration, remember them. And for those who forgot the lessons of resilience, devotion, and self-determination, remember them. For God's sake, remember them. Ladies and gentlemen, today while standing in the auditorium of Higher Education Commission, I found myself being judged by a female judge. I found myself standing in front of you people with my two fellow female speakers. Then my mind provoked, and I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you, where is the glass ceiling preventing these women? Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I strongly oppose and deny the opinions proposed by the opposition against our resolution. And I go against the idea that there is no any glass ceiling that prevents women from reaching top leadership positions in organizations. I'll tell you why, and I will identify you. 33% of the companies globally do not have any females in senior management. Only 24% of the senior positions are held by women across the globe. Out of all the continents, Europe has the highest rate of women on executive boards, while Asia and Latin America have the lowest rates. And guess what? The country that we're living in is not even on the Asian list. In 2023, there were still only 7 females as CEOs on the FTSE 100 companies list. Why don't we believe that gender diversity can have a positive impact on a company's decision making? I mean, think about it. If in a workplace there is a man and a woman having similar leadership roles, there would be increased emotional intelligence, the workplace would be more dynamic, and there would be new growth opportunities. However, globally, no country has achieved gender equality on their boards so far. According to recent reports by McKinsey & Company, The Catalyst, and the World Economic Forum, the issue of women's representation remains a significant concern worldwide. McKinsey & Company's 2020 Women in Workplace report shows that women often face obstacles in advancing to managerial positions in organizations. The Catalyst's 2019 Quick Take Women in Management report highlights that the women hold only 29% of the senior positions across the globe, highlighting a significant gender gap. Similarly, the World Economic Forum's 2020 Global Gender Gap report emphasizes on the widening gap in economic opportunities for women, particularly in leadership roles. Ladies and gentlemen, we ought to believe that in this society, women face a glass ceiling that prevents them from reaching top position leaderships, from reaching top positions due to cultural norms, limited education access, workplace discrimination, legal barriers, and lack of infrastructure support. Patriarchal norms prioritize family over career, while limited education hinders qualification. Discrimination and legal loopholes impede progress, while gender-based violence deters advocacy. The lack of infrastructure limits participation. Madam Speaker, the opposition must know that until every woman has equal access to leadership opportunities, the societies and organizations will continue to miss out on the diverse perspectives that led to progress, Madam. We all know that the opposition has been uttering opinions blindfoldedly and based on their arguments. I can tell you this, ladies, these speakers do not want you all to succeed in leadership positions. But for my side, the government, sky is the limit for you all. Let's break this glass ceiling and grow together.
With your permission. To all the greys and the greens of this debate, to all the surpluses and deficits we faced, it is side opposition that has actually understood the nature of glass, which is to shatter, and its fragility is due to the billion cracks in it right now, as if you and I alike can feel the light on us. I need you to understand that we are living in a world where such progress cannot go unacknowledged. Which means when we focus on the word preventing, it truly dismantles all the years of empowerment, the progress that has taken place. When the House endorses the word preventing, it gives an easy way out of struggle, a struggle many of us go through. And when we keep on using this present notion, we continuously keep women in a box and deliberately declare a limit on them. And that is the point in time where we oppose, ladies and gentlemen. We have seen the world to have progressed more than our ancestors have seen. And we believe there will be more to come for our future generations. And they ask me, the future generations, they ask me, why is that so? So let us answer them by celebrating the progress made, not as a culmination of a journey, but as a prologue to a future defined by inclusivity and equity. And let us celebrate the progress found in the National Academy of Higher Education's very own program of capacity building for emerging women leaders that has been into place since 2021 and has dismantled this metaphorical barrier with every single session. And let us celebrate the progress found in the face of talent, in the face of hard work, in the face of meritocracy, and in the daring face of adversity. And let us celebrate, ladies and gentlemen, a world where the word preventing does not stand tall. The glass ceiling is an outdated, a broken barrier, as we've seen in the journey of the president of UBL, Seema Kamil, to the journey of Lieutenant General Nigar Johar. And that is living proof against this notion. So my mind provokes me, and I ask you, dear panel, I ask you, dear audience, I ask the government side, why? Why do we keep promoting the myth of a glass ceiling when the current world evidence suggests otherwise? We believe, for in the journey towards equality, there is no finish line. There is no finish line. Together, let us pave a way for future generations so that the only limits that exist are the ones we place upon ourselves. This is our moment, our opportunity to redefine what is possible to build a more brighter, more inclusive tomorrow. With that, I request the panel to reject this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you for this engaging debate. The next resolution up for debate is national security is being compromised through digitization and technology. The government team hails from Pakistan Institute of Fashion and Design, Lahore, while their opposition team is Government College University, Hyderabad. Please join us on stage. The government may please proceed towards the podium.
Have you ever imagined a scenario where your private information, your personal data, and even the sensitive information of the government is being a threat to the emerging cyber attacks? Good afternoon, everyone. Today, me and my team members will be debating on the topic which is of most utter importance. That is how national security is being compromised as a result of digitization and technological advancements. Now, as we immerse ourselves deeper into this digital age, we must acknowledge the dual nature of technology. While it may offer a lot of numerous benefits, it can also create a sense of chaos and destruction among the nation and its public. One of the most common and basic digital criminal offenses that we face nowadays are cyber attacks and digital espionage. cyber attacks that refer to getting a grasp on a document which can be either a voicemail or a sensitive photograph. Whereas digital espionage that steals intellectual data or sensitive property to get an authority over a governmental organization or any type of entrepreneurship. Ladies and gentlemen, these vulnerabilities in the digital system and networks that we have nowadays can lead into data breaches, system disruptions, and even the economical losses. Furthermore, I would like to add up the concept of the weaponization of social media platforms in which social media is being misused by the malicious sources in order to create propaganda among the public, either influencing, sugarcoating, or brainwashing their opinion. My dear audience, the technological advancement in Pakistan is growing at a really slower pace, meaning that we are not exposed to the modernized technological advancements that are growing at a rapid pace around the world. This rapid pace of advancement often outpaces our own ability to fulfill the requirements we need to fulfill to secure our own networks on the networks and social media platforms. One of the most leading technological advancements that we have nowadays, which can be quantum computing, biotechnology, and also artificial intelligence, which can be completely weaponized in a really easier way, and it is accessible to everyone through social media platforms. I would like to conclude this debate by saying one concept that I always comprehend the fact that there should always be a difference between innovation and security. Thank you.
The proposition claims that technology is to be blamed for most of the world issues. If the technology has a mind or heart to decide who to kill and who to save. There is a famous saying by the Senator Green Cognizance, it's not a gun, but a man behind the gun. I would like to support my argument with a great example. When true drop of the rain that goes in the sea shall turn into the pearl. And when the same drops goes in the snake's mouth turn into poison. The same here, the blame is not on the raindrop, but on the things that make the use it, either positive or the negative. Same here, the technology is mainly created for the positive purposes. It is the people who make the negative use of it. Yes, Mr. Speaker. Me and my team will provide some argument of how technology and digitalization has been crucial in securing and protecting the nations. It prevents the nations from the terrorisms. Digital systems and technologies such as the digital forensic, electronic monitoring, biometric identification, surveillance tools, and gunshot and bomb detection tools have played a crucial role in the prevention of terrorism, which contributes to the national security. Let me give an example. USA is the most powerful. It can fighting and prevent the terrorism because it has 11,000 unmanned air vehicles. Due to having powerful advanced safety tools, it had only one attack after 9/11, Mr. President. Artificial intelligences plays a crucial role in the preventions and enhancing the national security by using the tools such as the machine learning algorithm, predictive analytics, image and video analysis, and biometric identifications. For example, in 2020, AI-based cybersecurity have prevented estimated 1.4 million cyber attacks globally. Second example, the European Union United Coordinator reported that AI system analyzed over 1 million online communication in 2022, leading with the prevention of multiple terrorist attacks, Mr. President. Thank you.
With the permission, sir. If my fellow member of the opponents was here with the focus on more on his debate than his accent, I would have been more indulged in what is he saying, because clearly I couldn't understand much. Honorable Mr. President, today I stand here. I stand right in front of you as the second government, and I'm here to assert a great reality that our national security is compromised significantly by the rapid evolution of digitalization and technology. But first, I would like to quote my famous rhetoric that we've seen Red Sea, we've known Black Sea, we know what hypocrisy is. But today, I would like to appreciate the audacity of my fellow member of the governance, because they came all the way from Sargodha just here and to state falsy facts, just to state false truth, just to state things that make no sense. Now, coming towards the topic, ladies and gentlemen, digital age. Information warfare has been one of the biggest tools in geopolitical manipulation. Nations and non-state actors use these digital platforms to create fake news and manipulate public opinions. The 2016, he was saying, my member from the governance was saying that US is the powerful nation, but where was the US as the powerful nation when the 2016 US elections were clearly sabotaged by the internet digitalization? Where was the US as a powerful nation when their elections were being sabotaged in 2016? I would like you to give me an answer. Now, dark web. We know that dark web is something that is not accessible through proper channels, rather only accessible through a software called Tor. These anonymity give them a chance to have an illegal pathway, illegal traffic pathway. My time is over, but I would like to say that because they are negating the topic, I suspect that these people are part of dark web because I think that dark web they're supporting the topic, they're negating the topic. So I think that these people are from the dark web situation, and I would like them to give an answer that how do they think that this topic is against. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, my government team is very against to the technology. So here I want to say that my proposition may claim that technology is something which causes damages and attack, such as like the damage which is held in Palestine, the Palestine which is having the detection system, the Palestine which is facing where Israel is using unprecise targeting tools. Even they have precise targeted tools, whereas GPS, satellite targeted strikes, even though they are using unprecise. So here, I want to ask from my proponent team that have you not listened that how World War II radar technology helps in detecting enemy aircrafts and ships? 100 radar stations set up along the British coast. How Enigma machines decrypt 200 messages decoded each day. How the tanks were game changer in World War I. How can you deny that these drones, unmanned aerial vehicles cannot provide us security at the national level? Yes, ladies and gentlemen and Mr. Speaker. Intrusion detective system, bolster national defense, data mining techniques, and quantum cryptography techniques. There are some ways and techniques by which we can provide the peace, recover our data, and face the threats which are facing from third party. So here I want to tell you more that there are a number of organizations such as CSE in China, FISB in Russia, NICS in US, NCS in UK, which are facing and fighting from the threats and attacks like Stuxnet attack, ransom WannaCry attack, Equifax attack, and so on. It was Brazil which used electronic magnetic in 2003, where they faced from the detective and the fighting and the threats. It was South Africa which used gun detective system in 2000 something, and where they used and fight from the threat which they were faced from the cybersecurity. This is the point. There are a number of organizations which are working, and we have to face, because behind the technology, there is the man. The technology is not running itself. Thank you so much.
Dear audience, never have I ever seen a side so confident, even if they have such falsy facts. And congratulations to me, I have the side today. Honorable Chair, esteemed members, and my respected opposition, as I conclude being the closing government, let me put this fact over here with all of you. Digitalization and technology is actually indeed compromising our national securities. The rapid pace of digitalizations and technologies has outpaced our ability to secure it. I repeat, the rapid pace of digitalization has outpaced our ability to secure it. Cyber attacks are now a norm, with all the sensitive information and the critical infrastructure at risk. Data breaches have also compromised information of millions, and the disinformation campaigns have eroded our trust in the organizations. And how you still have the audacity to claim that these technologies are not invading our privacy? Oh, how so naive of you. My dear fellows and my dear opponents, if we are here to talk about our national security, how can we claim about World War II when there was no such technology which we are talking about today, which is invading our privacy today, which is not invading our privacy thousands or hundreds or 50 years back? The proliferation of digital technologies has introduced newer forms of warfare, such as information warfare, cyber warfare, and I question you, how are we supposed to control it if this technological advancement has no limit? I question you, how are we supposed to control these overpowering tools if all they're doing is costing us our safety? And yes, to address your argument, I will use social media, I will use technology because I have to stay relevant in this evolving world. I cannot remain in the Stone Age while the world is in the 21st century. All I'm asking is for a security net, which is my definite right. Ladies and gentlemen, our reliance on digital technologies has also created a single point of failure. We have become so dependent on these technologies, my lord, that we've forgotten that the emotional intelligence we possess can never be replicated with the artificial intelligence, and yet we stray away into the bursting glooms of information and let it manipulate the public opinion while undermining our securities. We have chosen convenience and ease at the expense of a secured well-being. Before I take my leave from this rostrum, I would paint it like this. Digitalization and technologies are nothing but a chasm of dependency and security harm in which majority of us have fallen into without any rope that could pull us out again. We have taken the connectivity culture over security. I now give the case in the matter of your wisdom. Thank you.
Am I audible? Okay. Should I start? Okay, I think the proposition went out of the arguments. That's why they were attacking us privately. We were on dark web. Did they saw it? Did they use the dark web? Probably they are one of the users of dark web. That's why they saw me on dark web. And now, we are not here without any evidences or proofs, whereas if we talk about, you have never heard any fact or figure from your side. Thirdly, you're saying we don't have a source. Let me tell you, you're talking about cyber attacks. Cyber attacks have recovery tools. We have CDP, which is continuous data protection. We have forensic analytics. We have surveillance. We have monitoring. We have bolster system. We have intrusion system. All these can prevent you from cyber attacks. Let me tell you, we have organizations as well. We have CSE from China. We have FISB from Russia, all for your protection. And if you are responsible in keeping your account private and leaking all your information online, then it's your fault, not cyber or social media's fault. Thirdly, you talked about warfare. Let me defend that as well. You're saying that technology and digitalization is to be blamed for all the wars. Now, I'm thinking that the pre-technical wars that happened, such as we have colonial war, just as we have medieval wars, we have ancient wars, we have pre-industrial revolution wars. What would you blame then? Let me tell you what my proposition will come up. They would say the national security is being compromised due to swords, bows, and arrows, because those were the reasons and those were the mediums that were used for attack back then. And now, let me end it all with saying one thing. Technology and digitalization is just a medium. It's not a human. It doesn't have a feeling. It is not biased. It's the people that are using it. And lastly, one fact with source from Department of Defense. 1.4 million people have been protected from cyber attack in 2020. United States of America has a cancer mortality rate of 37.5%. And if you talk about Pakistan, it has cancer mortality rate of 35.7%. Why? Because United States of America is very technically advanced to save their nation, whereas Pakistan is sadly not that much technically advanced, and that's why we have more than 60% cases of technology. We have more than 60% cases of cancer. So I really want to oppose one thing more, which is that before personally attacking somebody, there was a topic that women should be prioritized, women should be respected. Before mentioning this dark web app, I don't understand what etiquettes did you learn before saying this thing. There are two educated and respectful women, so be careful. That's all from my side.
Thank you so much for your debate. Our next resolution under scrutiny is political stability is more important than financial stability. For government, I call upon Team Government College University, Lahore, and as for the opposition, I welcome the Institute of Management Sciences, Peshawar, to grace us with their presence on stage.
Permission to start? See in the eyes of an Indian under British Raj, whose bones shrank to death in Bengal famine. Seek the agony from the face of a black woman, whose children died in front of her eyes in Haitian Revolution. From a farmer protesting on the roads of New Delhi to the mass mobilization in Russian Revolution, humanity has suffered through writhing atrocities, not because of financial turmoil, but solely because of the relentless policies of political structures, where political instability not only halts the foreign direct investment of a state, leading the public towards the quagmire of poverty, making their miseries hang like tapestries on the walls of history, but makes it fundamentally unfeasible to achieve fiscal stability. In this context then, political stability is defined as the functional, stable functioning of government and its control, institutional capacity and trust of people on state's political system. Economic stability is depicted as overall growth in national trade, GDP and other financial sectors of the state. With that, our foremost argument is then to recognize that socio-cultural progress follows economic stability. That is a foundation built on the pillars of political stability. Because in the absentia of political stability, financial goals cannot be achieved. In counterfactual, you see farmer raids and Red Scare crushing the labor movements and leading the public towards the worst economic conditions. Our second argument is based on the impacts of political instability. Human crises, exploration of extremism, volatile exploitation of political extremism, and at the end of the day, the worst of all, ladies and gentlemen, the risk of war and open conflict that ultimately leads towards death. Throughout the annals of human history, the volatile political landscape have forced far greater havoc on mankind than the fleeting tribulations of financial fortunes. Thank you.
With your permission, thank you, Chair, for recognizing my right to speak. The respected member National Assembly from the government pointed out really well that indeed politics has played a role in solving a lot of crises. And let me tell you one thing, that by the time I'm done with this discussion, you will see that their arguments will be complementing our arguments and telling you just how important financial independence is over political independence. So our proposition is that financial independence or financial stability comes first and then political stability follows. Like for example, there's this very good chart which is the Maslow hierarchy theory. It says that basic needs, physiological needs comes above all else. Now let's decode this a little. For example, like there's inflation, there's a country with inflation, the economic indicators are going downhill. In that country, you will see that some populists will come and they will like give a simplistic narrative and take away the people. As a result, there will be instability, political instability, because some person will say, I'll bring $200 billion with a flick of a country, like I'll bring plundered money and everything will be sorted out. So with that, such narratives cannot be allowed. Now let's see, like it's also not sustainable. Like for example, from 2008 to 2011, we saw the mammoth of 18th Amendment, the 7th NFC award. They're really good moves, but we didn't focus on improving finances. As a result, that political stability was jeopardized, and look at us today, our finances are way worse than they ever were before. Now, there's also, if you look at all the problems, let's say the Balochistan issue, the Azad Kashmir issue, the recent issue, it was about commodity prices. So if you look at it, all these issues are triggered by economic powers. So that will be all from my side. Just one thing, Margaret Thatcher had said that government is incapable of earning money. So the public has to give them. So when there's political stability, there will be rational thinking. When there's economic stability, there will be rational thinking, and as a result, political stability will also eventually come as a result of national economic stability. Thank you so much.
Salvation, ladies and gentlemen, is a promise. It is a pact forged from the blood of those who have really known misery. It is a dream that the Muslims of India dream, longing for a place of refuge, for the reality that they currently live in is suffocating. Their lives are very, very grim. Stability is a foreign concept. Their leaders know no representation, and the soil that gave birth to them now bathe in the color of their own blood. We think political stability in itself is necessary for individuals to self-actualize. We think most of the times it allows mothers to not worry for the safety of their own children, because we think that they are constantly afraid of whatever unrest that goes on between groups in society. They're afraid of terrorists who oftentimes have the potential to rip communities apart. An unstable political environment brings forth raging corruption and manipulation by establishment. Horse trading runs rampant in parliament, and the mandate of the people is sold to those who is the highest bidder. Democracy exists only in flawed imagination, too weak to confront reality. Consequently, political instability murders the rule of law, and morality only exists to justify the oppression done by the rich. We think autocratic regimes take the reins of power and establish the hegemony that is unbreakable. Free voices are suppressed and human autonomy is eternally chained. Where do we go after the last frontiers? Where do birds fly after the last free skies? When liberty is curbed, when promises of progress turn out to be a lie. Ladies and gentlemen, opposition has a burden here. We think those people who have made the fault to chant the name of a different God, who have made the fault to live a life that is loathed by oppressors, those individuals that are not only Muslims of India, but of Palestine as well, for whom the very air that they breathe right now has become poisonous. How is anything more important for them other than political and social stability? Answer that.
Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Saying that political stability is important, then financial stability is nothing but laughable. My opponent presented their views on how political stability is important, but they forgot the important factor that political stability cannot be attained until and unless we have financial stability. Let's just take an example of a prominent country, which is Greece. It is the member of European Union and it has a very stable government, but it lacks financial stability, which leads the country into chaos and protest, which means that financial instability can mess up even the strongest governments. In Pakistan, many governments came. Every now and then they complain about empty treasury. So if political stability is that important, why do they complain about financial stability? On the other hand, a study reveals by IMF, it says that financial stability and social welfare is directly related, which is the most important factor for a country, obviously. It says that the greater is the financial stability, the country would experience reduction in poverty and there would be income equality. Last but not the least, let me remind the audience and my opponent that the world is transitioning into a new economy, which is called neoliberal economy. And the aim of that economy is that the countries should prioritize financial stability rather than political stability. We have the examples of the very two prominent countries, which is Brunei and Singapore. Brunei is a political stable country. On the other hand, we have Singapore. It is a financial stable country. On the Human Development Index, we see Singapore in the top 10, while Brunei is not even in the top 60s, which proves financial stability is more important than political stability. Thank you.
With permission of the panel. Even when you have financial stability, but a writhingly corrupt political structure, you are unable to use that capital for the benefit of individuals. In most of Africa, you still have resources, but African states are being exploited by companies like Total in Nigeria. You are being exploited by France through neo-colonialism. You have resources, but to access those resources, you need a good political environment. In the absence of a decent political environment, you are unable to use the capital for the benefit of poor people within the society. The second thing then is about status quo. As long as you have an autonomous country that is being dictated by the will of dictators who are legitimately corrupt, money cannot reach to the lower tiers of hierarchy. In Egypt, you saw that in 2010, people came out on the street and actively protested in Tahrir Square, demanding for social justice, demanding equality, and demanding a stable regime. In the absence of a stable regime, they knew that they could never actualize their potential and use capital for self-sustenance. That was the rise of Arab Spring that spread from Iran to Iraq and throughout the Arab world. Ladies and gentlemen, we understand that financial stability sure is important, but as long as your political environment is being dictated by gerrymandering and horse trading, you are unable to settle a good economic structure, because people who want to invest in you need to know predictability. As long as there are protests in the streets, as long as there is corruption, and as long as individuals are actively boycotting the state, you cannot have financial stability. The first demand that IMF makes is that you need to have a politically stable environment for you to secure funds, for you to be made out of a bedrock that is existent on corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, the government proved to you three things today. The primary thing is political stability is an existential matter, because it not only governs financial stability, it governs criminal justice system, whether the rich are being benefited in the society or the poor are being benefited. It governs social justice movements that are striving for the rights, because as long as you have a bad government that is unable to meet the demands of individuals, you cannot have a progressive economic environment. environment. India might be financially stable, but it isn't politically stable, because farmers are protesting on the streets of Delhi against the new rising tariffs on crops that they're creating. There are still protests against the Hindutva ideology that is exploiting Muslims. This might be financial stability, but it by no means necessary is political stability. We understand that because political stability is an existential matter and is directly correlated to the quality of life that you're living, it is crucial to strive for it. When there are autonomous dictators who oppress you, who use the money that is being generated for their own benefit, you have corruption. You're unable to live a good life. Ladies and gentlemen, Government College taught us three things. We did not raise our voice, neither did we anglicize our accents. We raised the strength of our argument, and that is opposition's burden to disprove. Thank you.
May I start, sir? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Starting with the name of Allah, who is the Lord of the universe. Today, I will make it crystal clear for my dear government that this resolution is not correct. Dear government, what will you do with your political stability when you have no funds to spend on your public? But doesn't matter. Let me take you back to the history. Italy. Since World War II, it has changed 60 governments till now, and it's politically unstable, sir. Then how? And it's politically unstable, but it is among the leading GDPs. Why? Because it is financially stable. It has 2 trillion GDP in 2021, sir. Now come furthermore near. That comes to 2008, the Great Recession. The US in the time of Great Recession faced a lot of hardships. It was having political stability, a great political stability, but what should they do with it, sir? They have no financial stability on that time, and on that time financial institutions played their roles and made their GDP to reach from 14.1 in 2009 to 21.4 in 2019, sir. Dear sir, leave all this. Come to your neighbor country, China, sir. They are the world's largest GDP. They have the world's second best economy, sir. But still, they are politically unstable, sir. They are politically unstable. Leave them. Come to my country, Pakistan. When the politicians strive for their politics, they use political motive, not political stability. They use political motive, financial stability, spending on the public, sir. Spending on the public. Honorable judges, there is a Pashto proverb which is told to me by my elders that politics is done with filled stomach. A person with empty stomach will not do politics because he will be hungry. He will be striving for his stomach, sir. He will not be doing politics. It will be his life and death scenario, sir. He will choose life, not politics, sir. And you talked about IMF. Let me clear it, sir. If you want to give your sovereignty, if you want to sacrifice your sovereignty to the IMF, to the World Banks, and to the Development Bank, so I can only say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. I love my sovereignty. I will never ever do it. And I will choose financial stability instead of political stability, sir, instead of political stability. And in the end, I will respect the honorable judges to dismiss this resolution, sir, kindly. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your debate, teams. Our final resolution of the day is rapid urbanization, boon or bane for Pakistan's future. On the government side, Excuse me. On the government side, we have Team Liaquat University of Medical and Health Sciences, Jamshoro. And for the opposition, I invite Team University of Turbat to the stage. The government may please take the podium.
May I start? Resources scanty and towns shanty, houses in shambles and futures in gambles, children eating rotten snacks and people living in complex drawbacks. Honorable jury, this is the future that my opponents envision for the future of our beloved nation. However, on the flip side, we have urbanization, where I see people taking their flags to the moon and into the depths of sea. I see 100% literization.
Audience, please remain quiet.